Timberwolves fans to hear the loudest about your plans and expectations for the franchise?
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one thing, it would be we are not moving the team ever. We're never moving the team.
Oh, we can all sleep at night. Thank goodness we got that resolved. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Enough Said Day. I'm Justin Gaard. No Dan Barreiro today, so we have everybody's favorite wild card and loose cannon, Pierre Nugent from Fox 9 Sports, joining us. And as always, everybody's favorite hockey mom, Lori Fisher. How are you, Lori?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us tonight, Pierre.
Thanks so much for having me. Always great to be here with you guys.
We'll put Pierre's email at the bottom of the screen later when he inevitably starts throwing flames at something that people don't like.
I'm sure it's coming.
You called him a wild card. I agree. The sales final, no returns. Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez now own the Timberwolves and the Lynx. The cost, just, $1.5 billion. As you heard Mark Lore say, they will never move the team, but they do want a new arena, Justin.
Yeah, and they'll get a new arena. It will probably be in the next decade. I laugh every time this arena stuff comes up, Pierre, because there's nowhere for this team to move. The league wants to expand to one of your favorite cities, Las Vegas, and Seattle. They were never moving this team. People worried about that way too much. I can't believe we're 4 years into it, and they still have to talk about not moving the team. They're going to get the new arena. That might be a fight. They say right now that they don't want to ask for any public money. We'll see if they hold to that. I think that's the right move, by the way. I don't think people are interested in financing stadiums anymore. But my big advice for A-Rod and Mark Lore would be this, and it goes to that $1.5 million purchase, $1 billion purchase that Lore talked about. You got a great deal on this club. Probably 50% sale price, right, Pierre? The franchise, we think, is worth about $3 billion right now. Now that you have the keys, don't get greedy. Don't start jacking ticket prices up. The Wolves have been very affordable for a long time. That's part of the reason why Target Center is great. Don't go crazy on concessions. Don't go Vegas on the bit and try to nickel and dime fans for everything. You got a great deal. People are excited that you're here. We know that you're going to get the new arena. We know that you're making millions, if not billions, off this team. Everybody's excited. Don't blow it by getting greedy.
I have no reason not to take Mark and Alex at their word. I have no reason not to. They say they're not going to move the team. I don't really foresee them moving the team either. However, I'm not as optimistic as you when it comes to the stadium deals because it is very rare, Justin, for owners to personally finance a new stadium. That is very rare. I
Getting less rare, though.
I would tell all of you, everybody get ready. This is going to be, it's all hugs and kisses at first, but after a year or two goes by, and then suddenly you might hear the tune change of like, well, we do need some public money for this stadium. Maybe we will have to move it out of downtown. Who knows where they're going to put it? I'm sure they would love to stay downtown, but who knows how that's going to work out given the limited space downtown. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and think to myself, oh, this is absolutely going to be personally financed by Mark and Alex. At some point, the public is going to have to give something. It's inevitable.
Well, they'll give something.
It's inevitable that the public is going to have to make some type of contribution to a new stadium, and I personally don't have any issue with that. If you want to go out and have entertainment for at least 41 nights out of the year, and then you include concerts, WWE shows, all these other comedy shows that come into town, you are going to have to pay some sort of contribution in order for that to happen. So while I do believe them that they will not move the team, when it comes to the stadium stuff, I'm going to wait and see because I've been through this before, as you know, in Sacramento, California. I know how these things play out, and I'm not as eager to believe that these guys are going to personally finance a new stadium for this community.
Well, now, will they get some tax breaks on it? Will they get some land breaks
30
on
seconds.
it? Probably yes, but I look at the last couple. Chase Center, San Francisco, mostly privately financed, right? The Intuit Dome in Inglewood, Ballmer, your guy, mostly privately financed. That's the way that it's gone, and I'm like you. I used to always be finance the stadium if we need to. We need these things. But now these franchises, Pierre, have gotten so ridiculously expensive. The second that they break ground on the new building, the valuation of the team is going to be like $5 billion. So you figure it out on your own. I think that's what they're going to have to do. But I am looking forward to seeing that conversation, because it's going to be fascinating.
Next up, the Timberwolves drafted Johan Barreiro with their first round pick. Hopefully I said that right.
I think you nailed it.
You nailed it.
Thank you, because I've heard many pronouncers.
Trust yourself.
Everybody, he's French. 17th overall pick. He's 18 years old from France, who just started playing basketball 4 years ago. 6'11" center, says he will give everything, practice hard every day, and is happy for the chance to play in Minnesota. Pierre?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, I kind of want to dispense with the assumed notion that Rudy Gobert is going to have to take this guy under his wing just because he's also 7 feet tall and he's
From
also
France?
French. Yeah, I mean, this notion that even though Johan Berenger, he did say that he is an admirer of Rudy Gobert,
Yes.
and Rudy's an icon over in France. There's no question about it. But, if I'm Rudy Gobert and everybody's already saying like, oh, he's going to learn under Rudy, he's going to do, if I'm Rudy, I'm looking over my shoulder right now and being like, is this my replacement in a couple of years? I mean, it's only natural for him to think that. I'm not saying that is exactly what he's thinking, but this notion that he's absolutely going to have to learn and just take Johan under his wing is, I'm like, hold on a second. I mean, if they hired some hotshot sports reporter in here, am I supposed to take him under my wing?
Well, I was just going to say, anybody looking forward that wants to intern for Pierre,
No.
I'd send your resume somewhere else.
Absolutely not. So, but that being said, there's not a lot of tape on this young man, but the tape that we've seen, the offensive game is not fully there, although he catches the ball great in the lobs. He'd be great in the pick and roll game. Defensively, he is about as raw and as sound as it looks like. So there's a lot of runway here for Johan Berenger to grow and develop in this program here with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm excited about this pick. I think it's going to be a good pick down the line. In terms of immediate return, don't get your hopes up. However, I think there's a lot to like here with Johan Berenger, and he doesn't have to play right away, which I think is a good thing for an 18-year-old.
That's the beauty of the Timberwolves right now, right, is that they don't have a ton of immediate needs because they have a lot of really good players. Now, this is the week we're going to see some free agency stuff shake out. There's probably a trade or two that are still going to be in the works. We'll see what they do with Julius Randle, what they do with Naz Reid, what they do with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but you don't need anybody immediately. That's why I loved this approach of the draft. First of all, with Berenger, it sounds like he basically picked up basketball as like his extra hobby after COVID, right? He didn't play until 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We all tried to learn guitar. We all tried to get in shape. He just said, I think I'll play basketball. Now he's a first-round pick. The second-round pick, Rocco, another 7'4" guy who played soccer until like 10 minutes ago. So the moral of the story is,
right?
Yes, who's actually been training here locally. The moral of the story is it's good being 7 feet, but I love the approach because you're right. He is here to replace Rudy. Now, it's not going to be this year, probably not going to be next year, probably not even going to be the year after. But when Anthony Edwards is 28 years old and they need a center, this is the guy they're asking. This is the guy they're asking to do it. So I loved the approach and bring in some young guys and develop them here the next few years.
Yeah, I think the story goes with Berenger. His feet were too big for cleats, so he's like, oh, I'll just try basketball.
Played forward, from what we were told from Matt Lloyd, and that's a pretty tall target when you're putting up a corner. He would have been great at heading those things.
No kidding.
Next up, the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets in a blockbuster deal. Durant, a 36-year-old two-time NBA Finals MVP, 15-time All-Star, 18th year in his NBA season, or 18 years in the NBA. The Timberwolves, I think we heard, wanted him, despite Durant loving Anthony Edwards. It didn't sound like he wanted to be in Minnesota, and the Wolves weren't willing to give up some certain players for a deal, Justin.
Well, what's fascinating is if Kevin Durant wanted to be here, the way I read the reporting, Pierre, he would be here, right? Because you look at the report, first of all, what Houston gave up to me is essentially meaningless given who they kept, right? Because they kept Amen Thompson, kept a couple of other players. They gave up Dillon Brooks. Yeah, Sengun. Like they kept a lot of their core. I know Brooks was kind of an important, work ethic guy and toughness guy for him, but they didn't give up a whole lot, which tells me that Kevin Durant told everybody, I'm going to Houston, because that trade market vanished. I think whatever the reported Wolves deals were probably better than that, but for whatever the reason, he didn't want to come here. So I've gone back and forth. Did they dodge a bullet? I've always been more of a slow play guy and let, kind of your own team develop. I'm curious to see how Chris Finch does in year two with a lot of these same core guys with Randall and DiVincenzo. That's what I mean by year two with this group that they just put together last year. But it's fascinating to me, and I'm curious why Durant didn't want to play here. Is it the weather? Is it the taxes? Who knows? But it's surprising to me that he didn't, because I think the Wolves are also going to be very good next year.
The tax situation in terms of state to state, I think is a fascinating conversation to have. But
it's happening a lot lately.
I mean,
hockey and hoops.
Why would you want to go play in California or New York when you can play in Texas or Florida and keep a lot of your money? But that's probably a conversation for another day. But I will say, Justin, in terms of your point, I think the Wolves may have dodged a little bit of a bullet. I think in the short term, I'm not wild about it, but in the long term, I think they're probably better off.
Yes.
However, you're trying to think to yourself, well, where is our window? If our window is now, then why not go out and get him? But of course, we don't really know who was involved or the names really. We heard some of the names rumored to be involved in a potential deal with Minnesota. But if you're giving up a guy like Jaden McDaniels in this deal,
wouldn't have done that.
It could change the entire landscape of this team moving forward. And you look at guys like Jaden and Nas, those are two of Ant's closest friends on the team. Jaden and Nas are Ant's guys.
Yeah.
So if you move those guys a year after you move Karl Anthony Towns, who was also tight with Ant, that might start to rub him the wrong way just a little bit. So I think they probably did what was best for the franchise long term. But in the immediate future, especially in the Western Conference, I'm wondering maybe if you should have just gone for it, because you never know how open and shut these title windows are, for especially for a team like Minnesota.
Next up, the Lynx lost their second game of the season, but still on top of the Western Conference with a 12-2 record. They play the Atlanta Dream tonight. As of this moment, we're not sure if Napheesa Collier will play. She's still out with a lower back injury from June 17th. She's missed a couple games, Justin.
Yeah, they're plugging along. They lost the most recent game that she didn't play. They still have the best record in the W, as Pierre likes to call it. And what's interesting is Tuesday night at Target Center could be an epic night, right? The final of the Commissioner's Cup, the Lynx are hosting it. The Indiana Fever are the opponent. They had the second best record in the Commissioner's Cup. It's for everything. The Lynx already have the banner at Target Center from winning it a year ago. It could be awesome, or it could be a complete buzzkill, because we don't know about Napheesa Collier, and we don't know about Caitlin Clark either.
Right.
She missed a game Thursday night because of a groin injury. She's kind of seen as day-to-day. So I hope it's epic, because there's nothing better than one of the best teams in the league in front of a packed house, in front of playing against the unquestioned face of the league, most popular player in the league. It could set up to be just a phenomenal, expose here, or exhibition for the WNBA, or it could be crickets on ESPN on Tuesday at 7.
I really hope that both of these teams are going to be fully healthy on Tuesday, because you have two main attractions in Napheesa Collier and, of course, Caitlin Clark. There's no doubt about it. Lori mentioned that they only lost their second game the other night, but they had the game in their hands. They were up 2 with under a minute to go. Couldn't get the offensive rebound. Washington ties the game, and then they turned the ball over when they tied at 64. They turned the ball over on the inbound and lose the game. So they were absolutely in that game, could have still won that game, and could have potentially gone 2-0 without Napheesa. You're going to see the turnover right there. Bad luck there for Courtney Williams. Couldn't catch the pass, but I think the Lynx are going to be overall just fine, even if Napheesa has to miss a couple more games, because when she comes back, boy, she has looked every bit like the MVP in this league, has she not, Justin?
Well, we've talked about her for 2 months.
She's looked spectacular so far in the early part of the season. She is a force to be reckoned with in this league. She's so much fun to watch.
We've talked about her pretty much every Friday, her specifically, and even then, I still feel like sometimes, Pierre, we don't talk about her enough. And when I say the we, I mean the collective sports media, where she's so good, so efficient, makes it look so easy. I think sometimes we just take it for granted. There's never really the flashy plays like there would be with a Caitlin Clark, but you look up and she's got 30 points, 12 rebounds, and the person she's guarding was probably held to
It's a very
season low.
sportsy edition of Enough Said. We have baseball, we have football, we have hockey, we have soccer, we have what Pierre did last night.
Oh boy.
All coming up.
Oh man.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Twins broke their 5-game losing streak on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, they beat the Seattle Mariners 10-1 in a 4-hour rain delay. They're in Detroit this weekend. As a newer baseball fan, it is really hard to keep up with this team. So many highs and so many lows, Justin.
Well, here's what I'll say. It's June 27th. If you're watching this live on Friday night, maybe you're watching on June 28th, maybe you're watching in July on Fox Local, which is free, easy to use, and you can get past episodes very simply on the Fox Local app.
What a guy.
June 27th, I wrote it down. This might be the last time the Twins are in the main part of the show. I fear that the Twins are about to get the lightning round treatment, Pierre, as we call it here on Enough Said, which means we don't have a ton to say about them. There isn't much more that you can say. And this is like the 3rd or 4th straight week now where I know they won 2 in a row. They've got the Tigers this weekend, right? That's going to be a tough one. They continue to fall further and further down in the wild card race. As we sit here now, there's 5 teams in front of them for the last wild card spot. Only 2.5 games back, but the more teams that you get above you, the harder it is to climb, right? We talk about that with the Minnesota Wild all the time. So I know the pitchers just had a big meeting. They just had a big all-staff meeting, and they got some things off of their chest. You've worked in corporate America, Pierre. Nothing good comes out of all-staff meetings, right?
I can tell you that.
Very rarely. I'm sure you've had some sidebar meetings after saying, what was going on in there? You don't want to do it too often. So they've just kind of meandered here the last month. The pitching has fallen off the cliff. And now they're in a real tough spot. And as we've said for a couple of weeks, I don't see it getting better because I don't see any help coming along the way at the trade deadline.
You mentioned the pitching has fallen off the cliff. Minnesota is 11th in the American League in total ERA, 12th if you're looking at the bullpen specifically. So things have not gone well pitching.
And like a month ago, they were like 6th.
Right. Yeah. No.
In all of Major League Baseball.
What did they win?
Either league.
13 in a row, 6 weeks ago or whatever it was. And everybody was flying high, feeling good about this team. And now we've taken a complete nosedive. And Justin, we are literally at the halfway point of the season.
Yeah.
It is 81 games. You're 3 games under 500, and I'm not so sure how it's going to get better from this point on. And, really when you look at this team, there's not a lot of excitement around the team either. There's so much of the fan base is disenfranchised with the sale of the potential sale of the team. They don't really know what to make of this team on the field. The fans are losing more and more interest with the team by the day, and that's a real danger point for them because this team really should have the market cornered to itself here in the summer. There's enough talent on this team for this team to absolutely contend, but it is not working right now. Things are not working. And more to the point, in recent home stints, Justin, they're getting blown out of their own stadium.
Ugly
so these
homestand.
lopsided losses that they've had at home have been extremely alarming.
Plenty of more games on Fox 9 this summer, and the highlight of those, at least so far for me, is Lori Fisher just grabbing random babies and throwing them at Randy Meyer on the desk.
So cute.
So stay tuned for that. You don't have to stay tuned for first pitch necessarily, but see which random kid Lori throws into Randy Meyer's face.
That baby I gave to Randy Meyer was wearing his dad's onesie from 1994. I mean, how cute can you be, right?
I hope you gave it back.
We did give the baby back.
Good.
The Wolves have owned the Vikings for 20 years now, buying them in June of 2005. Where's the last 20 years gone?
Seriously.
A lot has happened. Seriously, a lot has happened in that time. A new workout facility. They used to be down the road from Fox 9. Now they're in Eagan. A new stadium, US Bank Stadium, and renewed hopes for the team with the current leadership, Justin.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that with Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez now basically on their first week on the job as full owners, they need to just look to the Wilfs, I think, as if you want model owners and model ownership and people that I think have done it the right way. Nobody's ever questioned that they're invested into the team, like perhaps we have with the Pohlads. Nobody's ever questioned their commitment to actually winning, right? Nobody's even, Pierre, questioned that we know they're making a lot of money. We know that the stadium's going to help them. We know that TCO is for business purposes, but I don't know what you think. I don't think people care that the owners are making all this money off of those two entities because of the first two things I saw. There's never been a time where you had to say, oh, the cheap Wilfs, they did it again. They didn't go out and make that trade. They didn't go out and sign Brett Favre the second year. He wanted an extra $4 million. Guess what? They gave it to him. You needed to pay Jared Allen right when they got here. Guess what? They gave it to him. I think they've been tremendous owners, and obviously you want them to win a championship, right? Ownership has something to do with that. But in every other area, I think they've just been great for the franchise.
Well, and it shows in the data, too, because when you poll the NFL players, what's that poll that they have in the offseason? Where they rank. They're consistently near the top. They're, I think in the last 3 years in a row, they've ranked number 2 in the entire NFL in terms of facilities, what the ownership group has to offer, everything that is at their disposal for the players. The players have responded extremely well to the Vikings franchise, and a lot of that has to do with the Wilfs. There's no doubt about it. And the building of TCO Performance Center, a beautiful state-of-the-art place for players to rehab, work out, practice. It's a sensational spot for the players. What's not to like? If you're an NFL player and you visit that facility, what is not to like? So I think the Wilf family has done a tremendous job pouring their resources into this team and trying to get it to where it wants to be. Like you said, a Super Bowl is the only thing that's missing.
Right.
Those are hard to get, but I don't think I can't fault the ownership for not doing its part in trying to get this team to where it wants to go.
And breaking news this week, Fox 9 has the Dublin and the London game.
There you have it.
There we go.
Are we going?
Well, I've tried, I've asked, and I was
What
denied.
time is Mark Rosen on Vikings Game Day Live? Because I can't get enough Mark
Probably
Rosen.
7 a.m. if the game's at
Please.
8:30. But I
We
think
need
it's
more
so
Rosen.
fun that we can like sit back. I think I said this before. You sit back, have a cup of coffee, and watch football.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
It's
the
live.
I love the international games for that very reason.
Yeah, the top-ranked high school football player in Minnesota, 12th nationally, has committed to the Gophers. Roman Foss from Jackson County Central High School, southwest part of the state, choosing Minnesota even over Alabama, Justin.
Didn't you do a town ball in Jackson County? I'm pretty sure. We need a town ball.
All of our town
may
balls are
have.
kind of in that area,
I was going to
think.
say, do a town ball, and maybe Roman Voss can throw out the first pitch. Yeah,
Great idea.
This was big news, obviously, and we work with PJ, at least once a week, right, during the football season, Pierre, with the Gopher Coaches Show, the PJ Flex Show. Dude's on a heater the last few years when it comes to in-state recruiting. It's not the only time in history that top-ranked in-state recruits have committed to the U, but in terms of this often, nobody's done it like PJ. They've got the top 3 in this year's class. They've got the top 3 in last year's class. And when you're talking about fighting off schools like Alabama, like they did for Roman Voss, and Ohio State, like they did for Coy Parrish, this type of stuff in the middle of June, I think, does need to be celebrated. We all know the fall is what's important, but this is big-time stuff that PJ's pulled off here the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think it absolutely injects a little bit of life in the fan base when you get to keep your own. And I'm not from Minnesota, as you know, and you guys,
we know.
You guys love to do the one of us thing.
More than anybody.
Yeah. So you get to keep one of us here in Minnesota. I know that's a big deal for everybody. But let me rain on your parade a little bit. In the world of NIL, who knows where this kid might be playing next year at some point?
Oh, of course, we all know that. But we're in the moment now. We're in the moment now.
I'm not trying to steal your joy by any means. Don't you worry. But I think it's a tremendous get for Minnesota and PJ staff. But, we're, a year away from seeing this kid, if he stays in Minnesota, get on the field anyway. Maybe he does play as a true freshman. I mean, who knows? But at the same time, too, I'm just going to wait to see if he sticks around.
Pierre, how long have you been here? 7 years now?
7.5.
So how long before you're one of us?
Never.
I think I got another 25.
No,
at
if
least.
you're not born here, you can't be one of us.
That's it.
Is that the ticket?
Yeah, those
I'm
are
out
the
of the
rules.
club.
Yeah, I didn't
Convert.
make them. Those are the rules.
Welcome back to the Lightning Round. The NHL draft is underway. The Wild do not have any first-round picks as of right now, Pierre.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun if you're a Wild fan tuning into the NHL draft. I mean, they picked up an extra 4th-round pick, earlier in the week, Justin, when they traded Freddie Gaudreau to Seattle.
Yeah.
So you pick up an extra asset, but in terms of trying to get players on your team by force, not a lot of options for this team right now.
The other interesting thing right now for Wild fans is we've all been waiting for this summer because the Parisian suited buyouts are going to be done. We're going to have all this money to spend. There's no free agents to spend it on.
None.
So who knows? I guess Kirill's going to get it all.
The Frost got what they needed in the PWHL draft earlier this week. They selected defenseman Kendall Cooper in the first round, Justin.
Yeah, we were surprised she was available.
No one from Minnesota, though.
That's exactly where I wanted to go. We are the state of hockey. This is our state's franchise. I think there's 8 teams in the PWHL. 7 of them drafted somebody with Minnesota connections, except the Frost.
Wow.
Just saying. It's your organization.
Best player available,
Next
though.
Do what you want to do, but people remember that stuff when you're not winning Walter Cups. So good luck.
The Aurora-
Taylor Heisey, it's up to you. Minnesota Roots, it's up to you.
The Aurora play their final season game on Saturday. You can watch it on Fox 9 Plus. Just one win away from being undefeated for 3 seasons, but still looking for that championship.
Yeah,
Here.
but that's exactly it. We've seen that with this team. I mean, they dominate the regular season, but when you get to the postseason, they don't have as much success as the regular season. So, and that's really, I'm sorry to LeBron James if he's watching. Championships matter, as he kind of alluded to that they don't, but they absolutely do.
And finally, if you've watched enough said, if you're a true fan and you've seen Pierre here before, we know that once upon a time he bought, unfortunately, fake tickets to his favorite band, The Killers, but his dreams came true last night, right?
Oh, yeah.
A
There you
really
go.
smart guy who
yeah.
got duped, that's what surprises me.
I went through a trusted source, and that source did make it up to me, so thank goodness for that.
That's
But
true.
last night at the Palace Theater, 2,500 people. We were very close to the stage.
This is your video right here?
Oh, yeah, that's my video that we're doing for reasons unknown there. Just a phenomenal show. I don't know, I've lost count how many times I've seen him at this point. Just the best. There's Addie.
there's
Our
Addie.
friend. There's Addie.
She used to hang with us.
It's just one of the most underappreciated bands in all
Enough
of
said.
space
Really?
and time. All space and time.
Underappreciated.
Oh, yeah.
Every show they have is packed. Everybody
Yeah, I don't know
loves
if
them.
underappreciated is the
No,
right
they're
word.
absolutely underappreciated.
Chip
Yeah.
on the shoulder. Are you
Where
trying to
are their
get into the
Grammys?
band?
Where are their Grammys?
Well, thanks for joining us, Pierre.
No,
Appreciate
seriously.
Let's
They
not
only
go crazy.
give Grammys to the Foo Fighters for rock music. Nobody's getting Grammys for rock
You
music
say that to
anymore.
Dave Grohl's face.
Yeah.